So today we are talking about, we're looking in particular about how lobbying organizations get their first money and also like the story of how they got started. And what we're going to be looking at is the National Rifle Association. Um, and there's some interesting parts about the story you'll want to see. So we can see in 2024, the 2024 cycle, they spent $2.3 million in lobbying. They ranked 300th out of 9,458 organizations in America. And they've got a website. We don't really care about the website at all. What we care about is the early history. So let's get going on this. A few months after the Civil War began in 1861, a National Rifle Association was proposed by Americans in England in a letter that was sent to the President Abraham Lincoln and published in the New York Times. R.G. Moulton and R.B. Perry recommended forming an organization similar to the National Rifle Association in Britain, which had formed a year and a half earlier. Now, the interesting part about this is that, the idea happened in 1861, and the association actually didn't get formed until 1871. So it took 10 years for this to actually happen. And then the other thing that's interesting is that they weren't trying to build a whole entirely new concept. Rather, they just wanted the National Rifle Association in Britain, and they wanted that concept for their American National Rifle Association. All right, let's continue. The National Rifle Association of America was chartered in the state of New York on November 17th, 1871 by Army and Navy Journal editor William Conant Church and Captain George Wood Wingate. On November 25th, 1871, the group voted to elect its first corporate officers, Union Army Civil War General Ambrose Burnside, and blah, blah, blah. We actually don't care about the officers. The main thing I care about is that they were formed as a means of helping people improve their marksmanship. So less about, the big brand that they are around just firearms in general, and more really on just having people improve their marksmanship, which is pretty interesting. Because they're not really known for that today, right? They're known for their political efforts. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was how they got their first money. And so we have to actually search this article, right? But they got their first $25,000. It took them a year about after they were founded because it happened in 1872. On February 7th, 1872, the NRA created a committee to lobby for legislation in the interest of the organization. Its first lobbying effort was to petition the New York State Legislature for $25,000 to purchase land to set up a range. Within 3 months, the legislation had passed and had been signed into law by Governor George T. Hoffman. And so that's the interesting part, is they actually got their first money from the government to set up their land. I think because they might have been a government association. I'm not really sure. In 1872, because I believe they were started in New York State. So that might have helped them out a lot in terms of getting that first money. But that's all I have for you on this story. If you have any questions, subscribe. Again, the whole reason we're doing this is we're trying to understand better, we're trying to understand lobbying organizations better.